Welcome to this live. For those who are gonna watch later, welcome to this live. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this live. Yo, it's been a while. Let me just get set up real quick, and then we're gonna get started. But welcome to this live. This is Brother Shamar with Ancient Watchman, aka the Water Wizard. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, but I want to make it brief. I don't want to take too long, But Nasserine, what's going on, brother? Welcome to live. Welcome to this live. Bronze. Let's see. I'm gonna share the link for anybody that wants to join in. Let's see. All right. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a live. Welcome to this live. Yeah, we're gonna talk about just current events. I'm gonna make it brief, like I said. There's some things I would like to share. I know some things, a lot of things have been happening for the last 6 months since Donald Trump took office, and so a lot of commotion, a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of stuff, man. A lot of fascism, a lot of ideologies of hatred and division amongst the people, amongst whites versus browns, blacks. And, it seems to me that this administration has allowed a lot of people to come out of the closet to spread their hatred towards blacks, towards Hispanics, mostly, as you guys see on the news, what's happening with the ICE raids and the kidnapping illegally without due process according to the Constitution of the United States. A lot of things are being ignored. You guys know what happened with Dodge when Dodge came in. Um, Elon Musk was in charge. He basically came in illegally and hired some 20-year-olds to hack the system database, government database, to download all the database of the United States in order to give it to Palantir. But that's another subject for another day, because that right there in itself is another podcast, right? Because it's like it's like artificial intelligence mixed with like quantum computing in order to do like full surveillance on the entire world through the injection of the information that's found in Facebook, Instagram, and all the social media platforms where basically all of us, including myself, have left a digital print footprint for them to analyze the algorithm of ourselves, right? Because that's basically what's happening. So that's what happened with Dodge through Elon Musk coming in, and obviously you guys know that Dodge organization that was created by Donald Trump is basically illegal. Elon Musk was not an elected official, and yet he was given power as an elected official in order to come in and steal data so that they can sell it to Palantir, aka Peter Thiel, so that they can create their artificial intelligence database in order to establish a full-scale surveillance on the entire population of the United States, first and foremost, and then the whole world. Yeah. What's going on, brother? Welcome to this live. Yeah. So, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff, But let's go back to the subject matter. Let's start. So we're gonna begin. Welcome to this live. Give us a like, share, like, and subscribe. Support us. I know I have been away for a long time. I just been I've been going through a lot of transformation within and without, in the mind and spirit, and it's been like, it's when you're in the process of transformation, you just completely, like, you take a lot of time to sit down and spend time with yourself, with your mind. Your whole perspective changes. So I will be talking about it later on. So, anyways, let's begin.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
A lot of people. So what happened is that these Charlie Kirk is basically an alt-right, right-wing, MAGA, white nationalist propagandist for the MAGA regime, right? And so I don't know if you guys follow him. I've been following I follow basically the presidential elections in the whole year 2024, and I just follow the whole trail of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump and all of them, and I've seen a lot of stuff. I've heard a lot of stuff that I have not brought out, but maybe someday I will bring out. But throughout the presidential elections of 2024, some people believe that the the presidential election of Donald Trump was stolen, paid for by Elon Musk, because I don't know if you guys saw that there was a comment that Donald Trump made saying that he, basically implying that Elon Musk hacked the election voting machines in order to win the election. So, anyways, some kind of giving you guys seen it. You guys probably seen it out there if you follow the trail of the 2024 presidential election run, the race. And so, there's a lot of, I would say, let's call it a conspiracy, right, to steal the election. Anyway, so these individual called Charlie Kirk, he was the one at the forefront as a propagandist for the MAGA regime before Donald Trump was even elected. He was going around the country basically spreading out the MAGA ideology of what? Of white supremacy, of white nationalism, white Christian nationalism, as a matter of fact. Um, and so that's basically his stance when it comes to uh, political. And so when you guys begin to dive deep into these arena, right? If you guys begin to dive deep into this arena, you guys will find out that Kirk was a racist. Kirk was a white nationalist, implying that black people are not even qualified to even be in office, implying that black people are not even qualified to be pilots and whatnot, right?
It shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000 Black men, women, and children were killed
Okay, so
in
if
violent lynch mobs.
if that's your explanation, but I guess
Racial terror permeated
Black
American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is
You don't
worse
think
than it has been
that
in the
affected
last 80 years.
the generational psyche of an entire group of people?
Well, I'm sure it did. I'm not discounting that. I'm just
right there. I don't know. Like I said, I've been following this guy. You know, I've been listening to what a lot of these people are saying. I've been following Nick Fuentes. I've been following him. I've been following all the MAGA fanatics out there, MAGA Kelling and Ben Shapiro and all of these cats that all these cats that are supporting Donald Trump, and a lot of them speak the same way he does. They don't think that black people are supposed to be in power or even qualified to be in it, right? And so, um, so the killing of Kirk was not done um, out of hatred or out of I would say because they were saying that let's see if I want to find this video where you have Nancy Mays, right? Let me see if I can find it. But he was saying that black people were more docile. They were more respectful when they were in slavery, right? And so that's an outrageous statement to make, right? Especially to a lot of the black African Americans that voted for Donald Trump. That's a slap in the face, right? And I've always gone back and forth with a lot of brothers, black African Americans in the comment section and on YouTube and TikTok, and I'm mostly on TikTok nowadays, debating a lot of people and going back and forth on the comment section mostly, you know. But yeah, so I've been going back and forth with them, and I'm asking them like, okay, so if you see how the MAGA regime treats black people or people of color, why would you continue to support these individual,
As
right?
Imagineers, we know our end product is
So
no. I think Hondurans, Mexicans, Nicaraguans, El Salvadorians, Panamanians, Venezuelans, Chileans, they should all go home
Oh, really?
if they're here illegally. Yes.
But like I said before, these people have been devastated by in the past. These countries are poor.
I don't care. Like go fix
Really?
your own country. How did we screw up El Salvador? No, tell me. How did we screw up El Salvador? Can anyone tell me? Or is that just a talking point?
What about for the kids?
Go
If you're
back
born
to your
here-
country of origin.
So you would tell me to go back to my country
Well,
right now?
are you born here or not?
I'm born here.
Well,
My
I think we
parents
should
not.
get
They
rid of
were illegal.
birthright citizenship, but technically we have it, so you
Me.
should stay. But yes.
But I'm contributing to society. I'm working.
Okay, good for you. I mean,
So then I should just leave?
I think we should get rid of birthright citizenship.
Oh,
but,
so I'm done.
But
I'm done for
again,
it.
I'm
Get me
not
out of
like
Mexico.
I'm not like king, so we don't get rid. But birthright citizenship is a misreading of the birthright clause in the U.S. Constitution. But we have it, so you're going to stay. Don't worry. Okay.
But you want me gone.
But are
you want me gone?
Well, no, I don't want you.
A lot of people are asking like Democrats and the quote unquote the libs, right? Because that's the word they have against everybody that does not subscribe to the MAGA ideology, right? That's the give me a minute. All right. My bad. All right. So I was saying that if you guys notice, he was saying that Mexicans, Salvadorians, Guatemalans, everybody has to go back and you know if you're here illegally. Now my question is this, right? Why are you illegal on stolen land? Why are we or anybody else illegal on stolen land, right? Now, I'm going to show you in a minute a governor or a congressman or governor from the state of Missouri, right, saying gracious statements when it comes to, oh, America was a white nation, this and that and the third, and this is how they feel. This is exactly how these people have felt for a while. It's just now that a lot of people are coming out of the closet to spew their rhetoric of racism and hatred towards black people and people of color, even Native Americans. I don't know if you guys noticed, like in the beginning of the MAGA Donald Trump regime, there was ICE agents basically going after Native Americans. Oh man, like imagine, right? And so even people going into the immigration offices to to work up on their cases and do it the legal way. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of deputized MAGA white nationalist ICE agents that are getting paid to snatch people up, to kidnap people, to even people that are going through the process legally, even citizens. There's many citizens of the United States that look brown, that look brown, black, or whatever, that don't look white with blue eyes and blonde hair, that are being snatched up by these quote unquote ICE agents. Now, a lot of these ICE agents are not really ICE agents. They're basically deputized MAGA fanatics that signed up because Kristi Noem, right? You guys know Kristi Noem. She's the one that basically allowed a lot of these individuals that are basically mentally unstable to go out on the streets and smash people's windows and illegally snatch people up and hide them and ship them out to El Salvador. Or, they want to ship people out to Africa and stuff. And it's pretty wild, man. Like I'm trying to, I'm just having a hard time to understanding these concepts of violating your constitutional rights, right? What happened with the Constitution?
The Continental Army soldiers dying of frostbite at Valley Forge, the Pilgrims struggling to survive in the hard winter soil of Plymouth, the pioneers striking out from Missouri for the wild and dangerous frontier, the outnumbered Kentucky settlers repelling wave after wave of Indian war band attacks from beyond the stockade walls. All of them will be astonished to hear that they were only fighting for a proposition. They believed they were fighting for a nation, a homeland for themselves and their descendants. They fought, they bled, they struggled, they died for us. They built this country for us. America, in all its glory, is their gift to us, handed down across the generations. It belongs to us. It's our birthright. It's our heritage, our destiny. If America is everything and everyone, then it is nothing and no one at all.
You guys see that? You guys can hear that? That's the rhetoric of the MAGA regime, right? That's the rhetoric within this administration that I think, I don't know if it's true or if it's, we still have time, but I think the United States is done. I think the Constitution is no longer, they're no longer following the Constitution. They have broken the law, right? And so you have the DOJ is controlled by Donald Trump through Pam Bondi. And if you guys notice, Pam Bondi was basically like the attorney general in Florida that took the case of Donald Trump when he was being sued because of the Donald Trump University, right? And so she was paid, I think, $25,000 or $50,000, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. In order to basically make the case go away and all this sort of stuff. And then later on, she was what? She was appointed as basically the top-notch official of the DOJ, right? And so a lot of these people think and believe that they're supposed to take away your citizenship rights, even though you were born in this country. According to the Constitution of the United States, the amendment 25th, I forgot, I think is the 14th amendment, I believe, where it states that if you're born on this land, literally, if you're born on this land, you're automatically a citizen, right? Now, mind you, there was black people here before the Europeans were arrived. There was indigenous tribes that were here before the the Europeans arrived on this world, and these people have the audacity. These people have the audacity to tell the indigenous that are born, aka the firstborn of these lands, to say, "Oh, we're gonna take away your citizenship, right? This is a white country only. This was white America first. Wait a minute. This whole American continent, from North, Central, and South America, has always been brown and black nations, right? Colored, colored. So why is this rhetoric, right? And so going back to Charlie Kirk, right? We're gonna go back to Charlie Kirk in a minute. I'm gonna show you some other clips, and then I don't know. We're probably gonna end it in a minute, but yeah. So that's basically the rhetoric. And so when Kirk was going around the country doing debates, because he's a debater, right? I don't know if you guys watched the Jubilee debate show on YouTube. You guys go over there and just look at it and check it out. He's gone on debates in Cambridge University in London and other universities. So he's gone around and debate a lot of the people, but most of the fan base of Charlie Kirk were MAGA, red hats, white nationalists that have these ideologies of racism and white supremacy only and all this other stuff. So, and yeah, so the sad part about it is that when he was shot, Nancy Mace, right? She was a sitting Congresswoman for the Republicans. You know, a very racist one, by the way. And obviously, she hates black people and she hates Hispanics. And for them, it's like this is they want to turn this nation into white. They're basically turning the United States going back to 200 years, right? As a matter of fact, I just heard that in Iowa, they're putting out signs white only, right? If you go to a restaurant, there's now restaurants that have signs that says white only, right? So imagine like the nation of the United States is going back to 150 years back. We're pedaling back. Why? Because a lot of these policies, a lot of these the MAGA regime, Donald Trump has enabled a lot of these individuals to come out of the closet to basically show their hatred against Hispanics, even citizens, right? Yeah, because there's a lot of citizens that are brown, that are Mexicans, that are Salvadorians, Cubans, and so on and so forth. So it's like it's right there. It's in front of our eyes. They're spewing their hatred. So let me see.
Nosferatu's warning to every American who will not bow to MAGA.
And we are going to do that under President Trump's leadership.
Yeah, I'm gonna show that later. Anyway. Negroes and burritos. Black is beautiful, tan is grand, and white is the color of the big boss man. Yeah, whatever, but yeah, welcome to live, everybody. Welcome to live Asiatic 777. Welcome to this live. I don't think I don't know who you are, but welcome to the live. Asiatic 77. We are the Hyksos. Some of us mixed with some Egyptians. And that's the thing. A lot of people. There's a lot of supremacy. There's black supremacy. There's white supremacy. There's Asian supremacy. I don't really hear about like Asian supremacy as much as I hear white supremacy and black supremacy. But a lot of these people claiming to be supreme, right? A lot of these people are mixed, right? A lot of these, especially like when I was part of the camps, when I was part of the One West ideology. I'm no longer part of the One West ideology. I left that a long time ago. I think at one point a lot of people have to evolve from false doctrines and false ideologies and ideologies of hatred and division, right? That's basically what One West is spreading. It's been spreading it for the past 50 years, and none of them have changed. They all remain the same, with the same level of knowledge, with the same level of understanding for the past 50, 60 years that they've been around. So this whole thing, idea about purity and like supremacy and all this other stuff, like it's just nonsense, because a lot of us are mixed. All of us are mixed. Like, there's statistically speaking, like African Americans are mixed at what is it, 39% with like white people, even though like a lot of people could look black and woolly hair, and you could be black as Wesley Snipes and still be mixed with like Caucasian DNA. So to me, it's nonsense about, it's a very, very low level understanding of your existence on this planet, to think that you're pure and above everybody else because you're black, or because you're white, because you have blonde hair, blue eyes, or because you're black and you have woolly hair, and you don't have straight hair. Like all these earthly labels that we put ourselves, it causes division. It causes the human self, the person, not to grow at a spiritual level, right? So I don't know. I just find it weird that a lot of people claim to be pure and all that stuff, and I'm not mixed, so yeah, you're mixed, and but I'm black, and or why, like a lot of people are. Yeah, I don't know what the context of this comment is, but that's how they feel. A lot of white nationalists feel like that. They feel like the Browns, if it was up to them, right? If it was up to them, they will basically go around and start unaliving blacks and browns. Now, yeah, I don't know if you guys remember that there was I think it was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, or there was a mob of white supremacists marching in like some I think it was Missouri or some some other state, right, where there's a lot of black population, and so they were in U-Haul cars and trucks, and they just come out of there like a bunch of ants and just started marching, white supremacy, just marching with their faces covered, just like ICE agents are, right? They cover their faces. Why? Because they know that when this is all done and over, when Donald Trump is no longer in office, guess what's going to happen? A lot of these individuals are going to be persecuted by the law, right? And what's going to happen? A lot of these racist people that went around snatching people illegally without due process, violating the Constitution of the United States against citizens that were born in these lands, right? Guess what's going to happen? They're going to have to face trials, and so the reason why they have a mask on their faces is so that they're not identified when all this is said and done. That's facts. The Constitution has been shut up upon since the Patriot Act. Obama, but yeah, I mean, I think it happened during the George Bush, because the Patriot Act was activated after 9/11 took place, because 9/11, as we all know, was what, quote unquote, an inside job. By who? Well, you guys know the names: the CIA, the Mossad, Israeli, Netanyahu, right? Satan Yahu, I call him, aka the synagogue of Satan, that came to Congress back in the 1990s, saying, "Hey, we gotta invade Iraq, and they got weapons of mass destruction, this and that and the third." And he convinced the United States Congress to basically enact war against Iraq, even though they spent 20 years and billions of dollars. Thousands of soldiers died, and millions of Iraqis died. Innocent lives, men, women, elderly, animals, and the like, die at the hands of what? right? For what? They never found weapons of mass destruction. So what was the whole point? Well, we know that Netanyahu has been trying to instigate war against Iraq, against Iran, against um, basically all the surrounding countries in Israel today. Why? Because they have an expansion mindset to expand their lands to beyond the Euphrates. That's their whole goal. That's why not too long ago. When was it? 2 months ago or 3 months ago, when Netanyahu again came to the United States and spoke in front of Congress, saying the same bullshit, saying what? Oh, Iran is been building. They're building weapons of mass destruction, and and yeah. Now, mind you, Netanyahu has been saying these since the 1990s. He's been saying that Iran. As a matter of fact, there's an article. There's many articles you guys can research. There's an article saying that in 1992, saying in 5 years Iran is going to have uh, um, um, a nuclear, a nuclear weapon and all this sort of stuff. Right? We're in 2025, and Iran does not have uh, um, a nuclear weapon. So what is their excuse? Their excuse is what? Is they want to invade. They want to take their resources. They want to steal their resources of all the surrounding cities. That's what happened with Iraq. They wanted the oil. Now, if we want to go deep down the rabbit hole, there's a lot of information out there that Saddam Hussein basically found a Stargate, and so the United States basically found out about it, and they want to take possession of it. And there's more. There were giants there that they found. The giants in Baghdad, and I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff, but in the surface level, they wanted the oil. That's what they were after. So I don't know. Yeah. So, but yeah, the Patriot Act was basically enacted after 9/11, when you have a lot of the Mossad basically um, planted bombs in the World Trade Center in order to use that as an excuse for Bush to declare war and Congress to declare war on Iraq. And that's basically what's going on today. Well, the guy that killed him was a right wing um, white supremacy's America First uh, um, movement called the Groypers, led by Nick Fuentes. That's a fact. That's a fact, right? And so this guy, Nick Fuentes, has a movement called America First, and they're also called the Groypers online. And so what they believe is they believe that they're the real white supremacists. They're like pure white supremacists. And Kirk was not. He was basically bought by APAC, right? And the Israelis, and he was bought. So for them, Charlie Kirk was not a real white supremacist. He was not a real white Christian nationalist, right? And so they believe that he sold out. He sold out. So that was the ideology. But he was unalived by a Republican registered voter, right? A white individual. Even though a lot of the ideology from Kirk, he was saying that, oh yeah, there's the crimes and the Hispanics and the crimes from blacks, and they're just evil, and then he ended up being killed by white nationalists in the whitest state of the United States, which is Utah, right? Which is crazy. So Joseph, you're Indian as like Hindu or like Native American Indian, or what's going on? w- w- waiting illegal immigrants to leave is bad. What do you mean illegal immigrants? How can you be illegal on stolen land? I don't understand what you're talking about. How can you be illegal on stolen land? Who is illegal, right? Who came here first? Europeans came here, right? On a ship. They landed on a boat on the Mayflower, and they established themselves uh, um, from the East Coast, and they began their expansion from the east to the west through what manifest destiny. Which manifest destiny is basically them thinking that God gave them the right, the divine right to go and conquer, right? Uh, uh, and that they're basically the kings and of the earth. That's the ideology. That's the manifest destiny. Is like a Christian ideology for them to think that they bear the right, the divine right to go and conquer, and so that's what happened. They landed on the shores of North America, right? Illegally landing from coming from Europe, right? Because again, these lands were filled with brown people, people of color. Before the Europeans arrived, there was people of color here from North and Central and South America, right? And so they arrived and they thought to themselves like, well, this is our land. We're gonna settle here, and you got the settlers, the pilgrims, and all that stuff. So what do you mean, like who's illegal here, and how? What makes you legal according to the system that they established themselves, right? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. So a lot of the countries like Salvador, Guatemala, Colombia, there was the CIA came in and basically armed like the Contras, the Contras, we call them the Contras, basically like insurgents, right? Insurgency militias, right? That were armed and trained by the CIA, just like Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda in Iraq, in Afghanistan, was trained by the CIA, right? Same thing with ISIS. ISIS is basically Iran, Syria, and I forgot the other ones, but ISIS is basically an acronym for four countries that were trained and given weapons, military grade weapons by the United States government in order to destabilize, uh, uh, create an imbalance within the countries, so that they then later they can come in and establish quote unquote order, right? That's how they do. And so what happened in El Salvador and Colombia and Guatemala and what else? Nicaragua. The same thing. What they do is they go into other countries. They establish a militia, right? Against the government, the established government of those lands, of those countries, and then they begin to do a coup, right? A takeover, right? And so that's what happened. So what they do is they go and train militias. They create militias trained by the military of the United States, the CIA, and then they create an imbalance to stabilize the nation, the country, the region. And then what happens? They can come in and they set up a puppet for themselves, so they can control from within, all the way from the United States, so that they can take possession of the resources, natural resources and minerals, and that's what they're trying to do in Africa too, right? Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna share the link if anybody wants to come in on the podcast and speak your piece, or every country that's ever been established is on stolen land. Yeah. Yeah, like England, right? You have England. You have a lot of places that were colonized by Europeans before there was brown people there. So Yeah, yeah, that's what they did, and Donald Trump came in and basically broke that deal because he wanted to make a new deal with Iran, and Iran has not sit down with like the United States to make a new deal, right? Because Obama had already done it. So everything that Donald Trump has done is to establish himself as the hero of the story when he's not the hero of the story, right? Anyways, let me share the link if anybody wants to come in and chat or share your piece. All right, I'm gonna share the link if anybody wants to come in. uh, what, what is that? How you say what? War and savages. You know, I don't know, man. You know, it's I don't know. What do you guys think about war? You know, but anyways, let's go back to the subject matter. I think I kind of see the Freemasons got lives in the bottomless pit inside Israel borders. Mhm. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, I think yeah, you're talking about the what? What are you talking about? GOCC are Freemason Satanists. What do you mean GOCC? Oh, like the camp? You talking about the camp? I think all the camps, all the One West camps are basically like Masons. They were Masons. As a matter of fact, they began as Masons. I did a video a while ago, some years ago, exposing that information with facts. You know, the Ten Commandment keepers, they began with like Freemasons. What the two of the pioneers of the Black supremacy ideology within the One West camps. All these camps that are out there today, spewing the same rhetoric of black tries and all this sort of stuff. It began with like a Mason, and a lot of these Masons were connected with like the Jewish people, with the Jewish rabbis. That's basically how they learned the Ten Commandment, the Commandment Keepers, which is the original camp, the original One West. They learn under the white men, the Jewish men, right? And a lot of these Rabbi Matthews, right? That's one of the names, Rabbi Matthews. He was the one that had a lodge. He had a lodge of like mysticism and all this. Now, I'm not against mysticism because I study mysticism, right? Um, there's a lot of beautiful, powerful knowledge from the mystics, the ancient mystics, but Rabbi Matthews had a lodge of Freemasons, and they had like women and men learning like deep stuff, but they learned it from the white men. They learned it from the Jewish men, and later on, like they wanted to be part of the Jewish rabbi council or whatever, but they didn't allow them because they were black. And so what they did is they separated themselves from the Jewish men, and that's when they created the commandment keepers. And then from the commandment keepers, that's basically when they began to like teach these ideologies with like some of the ideologies that One West teaches today: ISUPK, IUIC, GOCC, Light of Zion, and all these other camps that are come out. GMS. They all learn the same crap from the same masters. The Jewish men. But yeah. I'm just going through the comments, and we're gonna go back to the lesson, and then we're gonna call it a night because it's getting late. We are done with the left. It has to be disbanded. Evil, demonic goals no longer welcome in civilized society. Why do you say that? Do you want to come into the live and speak your piece? The link is down in the comment section. If you guys want to come in, just click the link. I'll bring you on, and I'm gonna allow you to speak your piece. So why are you saying that you down with the left? Like, who is the left? liberals, Democrats, and this is the thing. A lot of all these ideology of division and hatred, Democrats versus Republicans and whites versus browns, and liberals versus whatnot, and liberals versus white national Christians and all this stuff. I think all these ideologies are set up to divide us even more, to keep the population divided. Because why? If listen, I do not believe in political systems. I think political systems are just another distraction to keep humanity enslaved, just like school systems, just like, I don't know, just like all this stuff, religions and whatnot. Um, I I believe that we are sovereign beings first and foremost. Before we are Christians, before we're brown, before we're black, before we're white, before we are Hispanics, before we are natives, before we are any labels that we are born into, we are spiritual beings, sovereign beings, free beings that came into this world, right? That's what I believe. But when we are born into this matrix system, right, of this world, we are born into labels. We are born into religions. We are born into ideologies. We are born into, I don't know, just systems of hatred and division, just like political systems, just like the religion. There's a lot of religions that are against each other. I mean, just look at the camps. You got a lot of camps that fight amongst themselves. A lot of people, there's a lot of killings within the camps. Even going back to the seven heads, the seven heads like Arya and Masha and all them, King David and all them brothers that started like the original ISUPK right after the Commandment Keepers. There was killings there because they differ in ideology. There's beatings, there's people threatening each other with life because, I teach different than you do, and I believe different than you do, and so a lot of these ignition of fire done by supremacies, by ideologies, and Democrats versus liberals, and Republicans versus whatnot, and white nationalists, Christians versus people that do not believe in God or the Bible, right? And so there's just a lot of division. So imagine, right? Imagine if all those labels are taken out. Imagine if we understand that we are spiritual beings first and foremost, right? Encaged in flesh bags we call bodies. Imagine if we understood that, right? None of this stuff that they're feeding us, because they're feeding all this stuff so that we can be divided. Because God forbid if we are united, what would happen with the government systems? What would happen with all these ideologies of indoctrination and political systems? What would happen? None of them will be existent. None of them will be needed. Why? Because we would understand that we are divine beings on this world. So political systems, religious systems, they're just set up to divide us even further, and also divide us and drive us away from our divine selves. Why? Because now we're basically depending on like a certain ideology so that we can find our identity in. Like we find our identity in political systems. We find our identity in how we dress, or what type of music we listen to, or what country we're from, and all these borders and ideologies, religions, they're all man-made. They're all man-made, and yet we are here fighting. Yet there's people out there spreading hatred, and this is what happened with like Kirk. That's what happened with him.
Action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
But I rise today as a clear recipient of affirmative action, and particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color, but I can declare that I did not graduate on affirmative action. This is my personal story.
I hear because of action affirmative. She can't even say that. We know. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive. They think we're like, oh, of course, that's why we need affirmative action, because you have impressed us with your brilliance. Of course. Oh no, imagine the world without Joy Reid. Imagine the world without Sheila Jackson Lee or Michelle Obama or Ketanji Brown Jackson. They think this is persuasive. They think as they kind of now reveal that I'm only here because of anti-white, anti-Asian forced discrimination policies. That turned me into a bitter, resentful activist that hates white people, honestly.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Because of DEI, it begs the question, when you see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? It almost creates thought patterns that are not necessarily. No one really cares when it's HR managers. No one cared when it was, just kind of paper shufflers or even engineers. But now when it's like, wait, hold on a second. You're going to remove my appendix and you're a black.
Yep. There it is, folks, right there, And so a lot of black folks out there supporting these individuals from the MAGA regime. You guys call them yourselves MAGA, right? Even though this is how they feel about y'all. This is exactly how they feel about black people, brown people. They think you're not even qualified. And the reason why you're even in the government or whatever, position of power within the government or positions of power as a governor or else other things is because of affirmative action, which is basically saying that, just because you're a black person and a brown person, we're going to let you in even though you're not even qualified. Right, but we're gonna let you in so that you can do your thing and feel good about yourselves. Right, that's how he felt. That's exactly how he felt. And you mean to tell me that I'm supposed to feel sorry for the individual? Right? He wants us. They want us to feel some type of remorse or sympathy, even though he said it himself that sympathy is basically like a new age term made up. Right? And so I don't know, man. You have Nancy Mace saying, "Oh, this is the Democrats' fault." Even though they didn't even they were blaming trans people. They thought the government of Utah was saying that he spent 33 hours praying to white Jesus. He was praying to white Jesus that he was not the shooter that shot Kirk, Charlie Kirk, was not a one of them. He was not a white person. But guess what? He was shot by a Republican MAGA registered voter, right? A white nationalist, America First, led by Nick Fuentes, called the Groypers. That's who shot him. Now, there's a lot of speculation saying that, oh, well, I think the CIA or the Mossad or Israelis basically killed him because he was beginning to open up the book and wake up from the slumber.
And one thing a friend said to me, interestingly, which is, okay, Charlie, we've pushed back against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border, it's like, maybe we should also ask a question. Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question, that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned to ask a lot more critical questions over the last couple of years. Last question on this.
Ben, I know this might be a tougher question, but BB said, quote, I didn't like he said this, I'll be honest. You can't be MAGA if you're anti-Israel. I don't like it for a couple reasons. But looking at this from an American perspective, what else would you say things could have been handled differently? Maybe on the PR front, maybe also just on a conduct front. Where would you say, as an outsider, things that could have been handled better, more efficiently, or with more precision? Would accuse Israel of wanting to ethnically cleanse. Some people in the Israeli government are saying, again, it's all over the place, right? You have opinions all over.
Well, a lot of people are coming in saying that one of the reasons why he was shot is because he started flying too close to the sun, right? Meaning that he started to learn that the Israelis are basically controlling the United States government through AIPAC, right? I don't know if you guys know AIPAC is basically like a foreign entity that lobbies within the United States government to buy and pay senators and congressmen and women, even the president of the United States. The United States president is he was paid like I think some $2-3 million or $1 billion for favors. Basically, that's what it is, right? If you speak against the Israeli, if you speak against foreign aid policy that favors Israel, then you're taken out, or you get a smear campaign, and you're done. Your career is done. And so these goes back to John F. Kennedy. When John F. Kennedy, I don't know if you guys remember that famous speech. You guys remember that famous speech where he was saying that he is opposed to secret oaths and secret meetings and so on and so forth. You guys remember that? Well, he was referring to the Israelis trying to lobby within the United States, and what JFK was saying is like, well, you can't do that because you're a foreign entity. You cannot intervene within the United States government because you're a foreign entity. If you want to do, be part of it, you have to register as a foreign entity. Guess what? They didn't want to. What happened a month later, or a month, 3 months later? He was taken out, right? And obviously, you have Oswald, and all these other conspiracies and whatnot. But and so what happened is that Charlie Kirk he was flying too close to the sun, basically going against APAC, going against the foreign entity that controls the Senate and controls the United States government through bribery, basically, right? And so he was opposing them and saying, like, first of all, he was also saying that the genocide of Israel, Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinians, and that's a fact. You don't need to be a scholar, or you don't need to be a teacher, you don't need to be some sort of political official in order to understand that there's a genocide taking place in Gaza right now. There's a genocide taking place. And so he was saying, like, well, this is the reality, this is what's happening. And obviously, you guys know Ben Shapiro. He's Jewish, right? He's so-called Jewish. And a lot of people say that he's an agent, right? And I believe he's also an agent, but it is what it is. A lot of people, there's what is it, 75% to 80% of the Republican voters are basically pro-Israel, meaning they support the genocide. And guess what? A lot of your taxes, right? The taxes that you pay, that we pay, or whatever, guess where they're going? They're going to fund the Israeli genocide against the Palestinians, killing innocent people, dropping bombs on hospitals, killing children, babies, animals, women, cat, dogs, elderly, and the like. If you guys go online, just look at how Gaza has been devastated. There's nothing there. It's just nothing there. It's just bloodshed, and tears. They have been killing. Let me see how many people so far. Some 200,000 or whatever the like. in the past 3 months, right? They seize the fire, then they keep going, and then and see. So that's basically what Kirk was Charlie Kirk was saying.
And this is no longer just speculation. First of all, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, Saudi intelligence.
Yeah, and so there was he was doing a tour on a college campus, and he was basically coming out saying like, well, Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent, basically like um, recording a lot of these politicians in like in ways that you're not supposed to be taped or recorded, right? And so they're using basically videos of them raping little girls so that they could blackmail them. And so Charlie Kirk was pushing for the release of the unredacted um, Epstein files, right? He was even telling the president of the United States. Now, mind you, Charlie Kirk was he was one of the main MAGA white nationalist propagandists for the MAGA regime of Donald Trump. So for you to go against your own boss, what's going to happen? Because what's going to happen? So this is why a lot of people are saying that he was not killed by that white kid from Utah. That he was basically unalive by some agent or whatever. So I don't know. I'm just sharing my thoughts. I'm just sharing my ideas. This is for entertainment purposes only. Let's see what else I got. Yeah, and so I want to make this clear, right? I want to make this clear. I'm not. I don't think anybody should die in the way that Charlie Kirk died, right? Um, I don't support that type of violence, but it is what it is, right? He, like I said in in the very beginning, I'm gonna play the video, right? I'm gonna play the video and let the video speak for
I think
itself.
it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
Do you have proof for that? Can you prove your statement? If you can prove your statement, I'm gonna bring you on so that you can prove your statement instead of saying some nonsense that you don't even know, right? Like I said, um, there's a lot of Republicans, even the president of the United States. He did a TV conference live saying, "Oh, Charlie Kirk, our friend, he died at the hands of the liberals and Democrats," and then Nancy Mace doubled down on saying, "Oh, yeah, he was killed by a tranny or a trans or a Democrat," and she was saying that Democrats should own these, even though the next day um, everybody found out that it was an actual Republican registered voter that actually was a donor to Donald Trump's campaign. So if you can prove that he was gay or whatever, you can bring yourself on stage and bring your information. Let me see. I'm gonna share some other videos when it comes to the facts, and then we're gonna call it a night. But for those who came in, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming in and to listening to my rants and whatnot. Let me see. News. Oh, there it is. All right. All right, everybody. Once again, this is your brother Shamar with the Ancient Watchman, aka the Water Wizard. Thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna share some other clips. We're gonna talk about them, and then we're gonna call it a night. But once again, for everybody that showed up, thank you. Share, subscribe. Again, I shared the link in the comment section for anybody that wants to come in and speak your piece or share your thoughts or share your opinions. Guys, I'm always open to listen to everybody. Sam Atom, Charlie Kirk wasn't racist or a bigot. Can you prove that, or do you want me to prove it for you so that you can see it for yourself that he was a racist? We just saw a video of him being racist towards black people, claiming that black people are not even qualified, or that black people were basically better when they were in slavery.
It shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad. It was evil. It shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad. It was evil. But what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000 black men, women, and children were killed in violent lynch mobs.
That's your explanation, but I guess
racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been
that affected
in the last 80 years.
The generational psyche of an entire group of people?
Well, I'm sure it did. I'm not discounting that. I'm just...
Osama Atum, was that racist or not? Saying that black people were better, well behaved in the 1940s. Now we know that in the 1940s, a lot of African Americans were still like under oppression, right? A lot of them were basically lynched just by looking at a white woman, and a lot of white women basically falsely accused black men, and then there was white mobs coming in. Now a lot of these white mobs were Christians. They professed to love Christ. They were preaching the gospel. They were saying John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, and so on and so forth. And they were preaching these false Christianity, white supremacy, white Christianity. And then at the same time, they were lynching blacks and Mexicans, right? Because the history is not taught in the school system, but a lot of white people were lynching Mexicans as well. So he wasn't a racist, you said? Interesting. Anyways, so like I said, we're gonna go over some of the clips, and this is what I'm gonna post it again. I'm gonna let you guys read it. It's 10 seconds, but I want you guys to read what Nancy Mace was saying. Now, Nancy Mace was saying before they found out that the shooter was a white male, Republican, MAGA, white nationalist, that was part of the Groyper white nationalist America First movement led by Nick Fuentes, right? Nobody knew that it was a white man that shot Kirk, because they were expecting to be a liberal, a Democrat, a Muslim, a black person, a Mexican, an immigrant, so on and so forth. And yet The next day, they all found out that no, it was a white man. Guess what happened? Nancy Mays, right, a Republican sitting governor, right, said, "Oh, death penalty, the death penalty, right? Democrats should own what happened to Charlie Kirk," and everybody basically lost their marbles. Why? Because they thought that it was a Democrat, a black person, Muslim immigrant that shot Charlie Kirk. When in fact it wasn't. It was the other way around. It was a Republican, MAGA, white nationalist Christian that was part of the Groypers movement, which is a white nationalist racist group led by Nick Fuentes. If you guys know who Nick Fuentes, when you guys look it up, right? And so the next day, she said, "What? She's saying like, oh, well, let's pray for Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for the guy. Basically, she named the guy, right? He would want us to pray for him because he's a lost soul. But if it would have been a black person, if it would have been a Muslim, if it would have been a transgender, if it would have been, all the person other than a white person, is death penalty. But since it was a white male, oh well, Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for him and show him the way of Christ. You see the hypocrisy? But they're not racist.
What's your opinion on the Phase 1 release of the Epstein files? Do you think it was more of a PR stunt with Pam Bondi?
Lies that Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, I gotta be careful the way I say this, they're gonna try to.
The manhunt is over and an assassination suspect is in custody. Authorities have identified 22-year-old Tyler Robinson of Utah as the man behind the deadly shooting of Charlie Kirk.
Federal officials believe Robinson acted alone. It is Friday afternoon.
Meanwhile, well, right now, historically black colleges and universities across the country are currently under lockdown after a slew of threats that were called in today. Moments ago, Spelman College announcing a shelter in place over the threats, including at Clark Atlanta University, which is near their campus.
Other HBCUs receiving threats today: Hampton University, Virginia State University, Alabama University, Bethune-Cookman University, and Southern University. The schools urging students to remain vigilant, saying these lockdowns will be in place until further notice. NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo is following the latest for us. It seems, Stephen, like we're getting even more campuses that are closing down just upon hearing what the other campuses are choosing to do.
That's true. And to be honest, it's been hard to keep up because we just keep getting new information from new campuses that are shutting down because of concern or because they've received direct threats from this. You mentioned we had Southern University as well. That's in Baton Rouge. Bethune-Cookman, which is in Daytona Beach. And interesting, Spelman University has that shelter in place order, but it's actually not received any specific threats, they said. But the close proximity to Clark Atlanta University has made them, out of an abundance of caution, decide to issue a shelter in place just because of how close they are. They have said they are also increasing security just in case. We have statements from the other universities you mentioned as well. Virginia State.
Anyway, so that's what happened. When they found out that it was a white male, right, they immediately changed their tone. Now it went from death penalty to Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for the lost soul, right? That's how they feel. If it was a color person, it's death penalty. Muslim, death penalty. Trans people, death penalty. But since it's a white nationalist that belongs to the Groyper, which is a white nationalist Christian alt-right wing Republican, then it's prayers. He was mentally ill. That's how they feel, man. Like, what the fuck? But that's the reality. That's the reality that we live in today. That's this administration has has enabled a lot of these white supremacists to come out of the closet to spew their rhetoric. And a lot of these people, it's just rhetoric. It's not. It's not. They don't even have facts. They just repeat what what their MAGA leaders say. Right? It's not. It's not. They don't even have a mind of their own. They don't even have a mind or opinions of their own. It's opinions that were seeded by their leaders, Republicans, the President of the United States, Stephen Miller. Right? This is what he said after, before they even found out the killer was a white man. This is what happened. This is what Stephen Miller. Now Stephen Miller is the one that basically in charge. He's the mastermind, the architect of the ICE raids all across the United States. But this is what he said. Right? Watch this. Check this out. Where is it at? Let me see. Let's see if I can find it. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Let's see if I can find it. I'm gonna show you the state, the mindset of these individuals, right? This is the sick mind that a lot of these people have, that they begin to judge before the information comes out. Why? Because they want to seed an ideology. They want to divide. They want to seed. They want to plant seeds of hatred and division against people that don't look like them, right? Because according to them, we're destroying white America. That's what they feel. That's how they feel.
And we are going to do that under President Trump's leadership. I don't care how. It could be a RICO charge, a conspiracy charge, conspiracy against the United States, insurrection. But we are going to do what it takes to dismantle the organizations and the entities that are fomenting riots, that are doxing, that are trying to inspire terrorism, and that are committing acts of wanton violence. It has to stop. And my message is to all of the domestic terrorists in this country spreading this evil hate. You want us to live in fear? We will not live in fear, but you will live in exile. Because the power of law enforcement under President Trump's leadership will be used to find you, will be used to take away your money, take away your power, and if you've broken the law, to take away your freedom, Sean.
Yep. So basically that's what happened. After before they even found out, this is basically what he was saying. He sent a threat. He sent a message to all the MAGA base, and all the MAGA base basically lost their marbles, and they began to judge before the truth even came out. And when the truth came out, even the Wall Street Journal, right? The Wall Street Journal was saying lies, defamation, saying that it was trans, it was the LGBT, and they even say that the bullet cases, right? They have inscriptions of trans LGBT ideology, when in fact it wasn't. Now the next day when the truth came out, they had to trace back the shit that they spoke about, right? Once again, poisoning the minds of the ignorant, right? Of the MAGA base, because that's basically what they are. And so you have Stephen Miller, right, saying that they will go after you, they will basically destroy you and take away your money, and basically threatening everybody else without any facts, before the facts even came out. It's crazy. And so a lot of these individuals that are MAGA basically like start cheering, and there's videos of like people crying, like a grown man crying, like it was nuts, man. It was just nuts. Like, oh, the energy, bro, that you have to spend dealing with a lot of these individuals, right? That they don't think for themselves. They're full of hatred. They're full of racism. rooted within their hearts and their souls, claiming that they love God, claiming that they believe in Jesus, even though Christ. Bro, there was a video of an interviewer going around in the MAGA base, asking them like, would you accept Christ if he was an immigrant? And you know what they said? They're like, as long as they came in here legally, as long as Jesus Christ came here legally. Now you guys know that Christ was an immigrant, right? He was an immigrant in Egypt. He immigrated into Egypt, fleeing the Roman persecution, right? And he was an immigrant in Egypt. He was also an immigrant in India. Yeah, because a lot of people don't know that Jesus Christ went to India to study under the yogis. But that's another subject. As a matter of fact, I did a video on it in depth. You guys can go watch it. Go watch my video on Joshua, son of David, learning under the Hindus and the yogis in India. But anyways, I'm gonna close it in a minute. But before we do, I'm gonna share this. I think um, I don't think violence is the answer, right? I don't think violence is the answer. I don't think anybody should kill anybody just because you believe different than the other, even though MAGA believes that violence is the answer. That's what they believe. Yeah, so we're gonna close it in a minute, but before we close it, I'm gonna share the reason why I think Charlie Kirk was killed. Right, this is my personal opinion. This is the reason why I think he was unalive, because he was flying too close to the sun, and he began to push for the unredacted Epstein files, which Donald Trump is in it. A lot of the politicians are in it from Congress, both from Democrats and Republicans, mostly Republicans, and then also like businessmen, technocrats. The royalty of England was part of the Prince Andrew was in the Epstein list. So imagine like listen to this, right? I'm gonna give you guys my opinion, right, on the Epstein files. I think the reason why Donald Trump is not releasing the Epstein files is two reasons. Reason one is he is in the Epstein files. Two, the entire Congress of the GOP, the Republican Party, is in the Epstein files. And the reason why he's not releasing it is because he's using it to blackmail his own party, the GOP, the Republicans, so that way they have to do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Whatever he wants to do, they have to bend the knee. Otherwise, I will release the list. That's my opinion. Is it facts? I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's how I feel about it. And we know that feelings is not equivalent to facts. So do not take my opinion for a fact. I'm just giving you guys my opinion. This is what I believe. But in this video that I'm about to show you guys, I think this is the reason why Charlie Kirk was unalive, because he was flying too close to the sun, pushing the GOP and Donald Trump to release the unredacted Epstein files to the public. Because once they do, and if they do, guess what's going to happen? Everybody is going to jail. Everyone is going to jail. And so that's why they unalive him. Second, he was exposing the genocide that is taking place in Israel at this very moment. And a lot of Christians believe that it's okay to go and drop bombs on hospitals against innocent people. And their excuse is like, Hamas is doing it, Hamas is doing it. Now, I'm gonna make this clear, and I'm gonna say this word for the record. For the record, I do not support Hamas. I do not support any terrorist organizations on this planet, right? But I believe that the United States is supporting a genocide with our taxpayer money. We're supporting a genocide of innocent people, of innocent women, children There's a starvation taking place. They have killed many reporters, press, from the press, right? So I think this is why they kill him.
Lies that Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who was obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, that there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer. Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. The sweatpants and the Harvard jacket, the kind of disheveled hair, looking as if he was so smart and above the clouds that he was doing advanced mathematic equations on the back of napkins. But if you actually go into some of the videos of people that met with Epstein at the time, they said he was awfully unimpressive when it came to finance and markets and economics. And it's nothing new that if you're in the intel agencies, you want to try and get as much blackmail on powerful people as possible. Easy, not hard. And this is no longer just speculation. First of all, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, Saudi intelligence, or maybe he was just a hired gun. Maybe he was just the guy that countries would go to and park a couple $100 million and say, hey, can you get one of the members of the royal family with a 13-year-old so we can get them to do what we want to do? Members of Congress are actively being blackmailed. The Epstein playbook is being used on a daily basis. Jeffrey Epstein was not a financier. He was not a hedge fund manager. Jeffrey Epstein was a key player in a multi-decade blackmail operation against the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat, literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, why are you, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like, some of the mess, and you saw, you've seen how I've been treated, Megan, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating. It's been so unfair. They were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
Though. No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the 5th time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this. And I could go, I mean, you saw it, Megan. It was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages. And if I were to be charitable and generous, I will say the people that are attacking me are in a hyper paranoid state because they're at war, and war tends to make things black and white, and you're a hammer looking for a nail. So I'm trying to be charitable, Megan. Literally, I'm trying to cut as much slack as I can, right? Like, okay, what would it be like if all of a sudden I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior similar to what my grandparents saw in 1930s Germany online? How would I behave? So that's like my charitable kind of overcompensation spirit. At the same time, I'm like, but it's not defensible to be dumb, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's offensive. It's offensive to those of us who have been out there defending them in many instances against critics on our own side. And now you have a couple of comments like, well, what about this? Well, has it gone on too long? Like, is it time to wrap it up? And the thing about Epstein is just so bizarre. I don't know who he was an agent for. It might have been Israel or an asset, or it might have been nobody. Yeah. But we're allowed to speculate about that. It's there's some rule. You can't go there when it comes to Israel.
Well, you and I believe that we're Americans and Americans first, period. End of story. We are citizens of this nation, okay?
That's
and
right.
Israel, we have funded, we have supported, and they're up against a sea of Islamic totalitarianism, and we should be cheering for them, right? Because they're up against barbarians and monsters, and we want them to win. However, here is Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk combined, probably 30 million social media followers, like pretty, right? And you and I have been holding this down, and you probably get the negative, oh, you're just shilling for Israel, whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what's right regardless of the feedback, right? But then all of a sudden, like, I host a person that I moderate the debate of, mind you, right? And I give equal time to Josh Hammer, equal time to a pro-Israel advocate, and my moral character is being put into question. And so I think it's a hyper-paranoid, like, we're just going to try to, we're going to just stamp out everything type of practice, but it goes to the point where if, for example, if I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government without backlash than actual Israelis do. And that's really, really weird, isn't it, Megan?
What's your opinion on the phase 1 release of the Epstein files? Do you think it was more of a PR stunt with Pam Bondi because she just got into office?
We as the American people deserve to have every Epstein file released with no redactions whatsoever, period.
Right.
And so yesterday, I don't want to comment because a lot of these people are my friends, but they got to make it right. And we, the American people, ran on transparency. We deserve to see the entire client list.
Yeah.
Every document the government has regarding the Epstein files, we, the American people, should have on an easy-to-access website immediately in a very, very quick fashion. I'm pushing for that both privately and publicly, just so you know.
Yeah.
Secondly, there probably are a lot of destroyed documents. I think that's probably the issue. I can say with almost 100% certainty that Trump was not on the flight logs. But as far as the client list, that very specific thing, I don't know if it still exists. I'm worried that was actually deleted, destroyed or disappeared. But look, statute of limitations for child sex trafficking goes for 30 or 40 years. We should impanel a grand jury, and every person involved in the Epstein child sex trafficking should go to federal prison for the rest of their life. Every single person. We need justice, and we need these people in federal jail.
Action. Yeah, we know. You do not have.
Let's see, what else do I got? I think that's it, guys.
The way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite.
It's been
almost
so
as if
unfair. They were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith isn't allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. My moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions, not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this.
It's like there's some rule you can't go there when it comes to Israel.
Well, you and I believe that we're Americans and Americans first, period. End of story. We are citizens of this nation, okay? And Israel, we have funded, we have supported. I host a person that I moderate the debate of, mind you, right? And I give equal time to Josh Hammer, equal time to a pro-Israel advocate, and my moral character is being put into question. And so I think it's a hyper-paranoid, like we're just going to try to, we're going to just stamp out everything type of practice, but it goes to the point where if, for example, if I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government without backlash than actual Israelis do. The way you are...
Anyway, guys, so we're gonna call it a night. Once again, thanks for watching, everybody. Yeah, so I just wanted to come out and share, just share my opinions, you guys can go out and do your own research. I don't think anybody should be killed for your opinions or be hated on because you have a different opinions than yourselves. I think once again, this is part of the what they want us. They want us divided. They want us fighting amongst ourselves. They want us bickering about bullshit and little details here and there. And Democrats versus Republicans, liberals versus whatever, blacks versus browns, brown versus whites, white against blacks and everybody else. And so in that way, none of us will be united to learn that we are divine beings on this planet, that these labels have nothing to do with our divinity, that we are the children of God, right? This is what they want. They want us bickering, just like I see in the comment section right now. There's brothers being divided, bickering, saying this, not, and the third. But at the end of the day, None of these political systems care about us. None of these ultra rich billionaire technocrats care about the middle class, right? The big beautiful bill was passed, and many Americans are gonna be without a Medicaid. Their Medicaid is being taken away. A lot of farmers are gonna go broke within the next 2 months, 3 months, in Iowa, in all those states, in Arkansas, in Arkansas, right, Nebraska. A lot of farmers are losing their farms, and guess what's gonna happen? Yeah, the ultra rich and the billionaires are gonna come in and buy the farms, and then the farmers that voted for Donald Trump are gonna work for the ultra rich for minimum wage, right? So my message is not to divide. My message is not to plant seeds of discord, but to think about what are we really supporting? What do we really believe? Especially a lot of these brothers that claim to be Christians and believe in God and still subscribe to these ideologies of hatred and division against other people that don't look like them, against other people that um, don't believe like them, they don't speak like them, and so on and so forth. They're not racist like them. Like, wake up. And yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna go watch the Canelo fight. If you guys, I'm into boxing, so we'll see you guys around. Thanks for watching, everybody. Once again, this is your brother Shamar with Ancient Watchmen. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next podcast. Yeah, tune in next Friday. Once again, I'm gonna start doing Friday Night Mayams as I used to before, and I'm gonna bring out other subjects. We're gonna go into the Bible, mysticism, other books. We're gonna dive deep into mysteries and ancient technologies, ancient civilizations. There's so much to learn instead of fighting about politics and fighting because the rich and the powerful and the billionaires are, the technocrats and the billionaires are in power. Once again, they don't care about you. They don't care about us. None of them care about you. There's an agenda 2030 coming up into the whole world, right? There's a system of control. There's the new world order coming in, and yet a lot of people are spending their time just fighting and bickering amongst yourselves. It's pretty wild. But anyways, we'll see you guys around. Thanks for watching, everybody. Once again, we'll see you on the next one, Friday Night Mayam. Peace out. Yeah, once again, if you listen, I've never said unite with Zionists. I do not believe that none of us should be united with the Zionists. I think Zionists are controlling the United States government. I think AIPAC is buying senators and Democrats and Republicans from both sides of the aisle. A lot of these politicians are bought and paid by AIPAC, by Israel. So I do not support genocide taking place in Israel. I do not support the synagogue of Satan. I do not believe those people are even Israelites or the ancient Israelites. I think they're Europeans converts that converted into Judaism. So yeah, so I don't believe in none of that. So I don't know what you're talking about. But once again, everybody, thanks for coming in. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Let's see. All right, everybody. Good night. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. I'm gonna try to be more consistent with Friday Night Miami. Yeah, so I'll see you on the next one on Friday Night Miami. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the fight. Canelo is fighting Crawford, I think. Crawford. So you guys know I'm supporting Canelo. Peace out, everybody.